Hey, how you doing? Welcome to my new Manchester United fan channel, United Reborn. Now, I've been a Manchester United fan since, I would say safely, since 1988. I say safely because I was born in 1982, so I can't say, yes, I remember everything when I was 2 and 4 years old. However, getting on to 1988, I do start remembering certain players. I remember my first kits, but going into the 90s, so the late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s, obviously I became a huge fan. This is when United weren't even a renowned force. Yes, we did win the Cup Winners' Cup in 1991, that great win against Barcelona. However, not many people, well, obviously who are a bit younger than me, can remember when United were pretty shite like we are these days right now. So this is the first video of my channel if you're watching this, and the video is about the shirt I'm wearing, 1992 League Cup final. I believe it was called the Rumblers Cup back then, against Nottingham Forest. Now at the time, this is the season where United were battling for the league title with another United, Leeds United, and it was going into the last part of the season. Now United had this FA Cup final with Forest, both very good teams, also renowned to be very good cup teams, but this is the time where United did start to really grow. As I just go through the team sheet here, so just looking now, as you can see, I mean already the names excite me because this is like my prime era here. Peter Schmeichel, Paul Parker right back, Dennis Irwin left back, were just the exact fullbacks you need, just immense. Players who can get up and down, and Dennis Irwin, as a United fan, you must say, has to be. Obviously, defenders are underrated when you go to looking at the best players in the world and whatnot. Just like Ashley Cole, I know he wasn't playing for United, but so underrated. What valuation would Ashley Cole be if he was a striker back in the day? Dennis Irwin, as solid as anything. What a player, so consistent, so underrated, one of the best left backs to have ever played in England. And then you're looking at the centre back pairing, Steve Bruce and Gary Pallister. Now this is what I keep saying to people now, centre back pairings are needed as a foundation, at least for the top teams, to be successful. Yes, you need to score goals to win matches. Newly promoted teams or teams what are struggling around relegation need goal scorers. You can't just go into matches and try and defend against the top teams for 90 minutes. You are eventually going to concede, you're eventually going to lose. However, if you've got a chance of scoring, just like let's say if you had a Kevin Phillips or someone with a promoted team back in the day, you have a chance. But whereas United now, yes, I know we're trying to do this back three thing or back five thing, but the centre pairing, the partnership of Gary Pallister, Steve Bruce, when you're looking at Vidi, and you're looking at Ferdinand as well, you're looking at when Stam was there, even when people could slip in when needed like David May and Hennenberg back in the time. This is what sets the foundation for the team. So that back five is just immense at this time. And then my favourite player at the time was Kaczowskis on the right wing, Mikey Phelan with Paul Ince in the middle, and young Giggsy on the left, okay? And Chucky Leclerc, so Brian McClare and Mark Hughes at the top. As you can see, as it didn't change that often for United back in the Fergie days, 4-4-2. But Hughes and McClare were just absolute machines. Now, Brian McClare ended up getting a goal in this game. It was 1-0, and Chucky got man of the match as well. Now, if you can't remember, and you're watching this and you didn't realise, or you can't remember, there were only 2 substitutes at that time, okay? Which is unreal, right? When you look at the amount of substitutes what can be in the matchday squad these days, you're looking at Neil Webb and Lee Sharp. Now Neil Webb obviously was previously a Forest, and then when you look at the Forest team, you're looking at Roy Keane, obviously in the centre. They had Teddy Sheringham, Kingsley Black, great player. Nigel Clough, so Clough's son, was up top as well. Scotty Gemmell, who was an international player. Des Walker, absolute machine. What a player Desi Walker was, who would have been awesome to have at United. So fast. Gary Charles at right back as well. Look at the managers, Fergie against Cloughie. Okay, absolute masterful cup tie. It's absolutely to mega and look back, and I've been looking back at some stuff with Lee Sharp and some shows and podcasts he's gone on as well. What a character! Just to see how young Lee Sharp and Giggsy and the longevity of them as well. Now Lee Sharp obviously he's openly come out and said, you know, his gripes with Fergie and whatnot. However, he obviously got pushed away a little bit when Giggsy came in to the frame, but Lee Sharp was around for years, and just look at that changing room to be around these leaders, these players at that time, at that young age. So you massively needed to have something about you, 100%. But going back to a normal 4-4-2, attacking, tricky, exciting wingers, Kanchelskis, Giggsy, down the flanks. You got Hughes. McClare was an absolute goal scorer, which we could be doing with now, to be fair. That team for me is just solid. You got two players centre midfield, what are central midfield players. You got the ball player, Mickey Phelan. You got Incy Vergavner, obviously. You got against Keane on the other side as well. And although it did finish 1-0 in the end, it was quite detrimental, or not detrimental, but there was a downside because afterwards, I don't know if it went on like a 4-day piss-up afterwards or not, but obviously the run into the league didn't go to planned. In the aftermath, United lost 3 of their final 6 matches when they were going head-to-head with Leeds United. One of them matches was actually against Forest, so Forest got their revenge. Now, United obviously went on to finish second. I think Forest ended up finishing around 8th. Let me just check on my notes. Yes, Forest finished 8th. But obviously, the rest, as I say, is kind of history. United went on to then dominate the Premier League and then having some awesome battles with Arsenal during the 2000s as well. But from there, again, it was a really good springboard again for United to go on into winning the League Cup 5 more times. 2006, 2009, 2010, 2017, 2023, where unfortunately Forest were, as you may or may not know, relegated out of the top flight, but have recently returned. Well done to Forest. That is the story behind the shirt. That is the story behind my first video. And there's more videos to come. There's going to be more updates to come. Look, I already know there's so many other United fan channels out there. I just wanted to start one, more for my hobby, more for my benefit. If you want to join me on the ride, comment, get stuck in. If you're in Asia anywhere, let's meet up. Let's talk United. Let's, fingers crossed, that we are going to be reborn. Catch you on the switch side.